Hey, it's always a great Sunday when you begin with the Beatles. Well, it is, anyways.
Well, everyone knows they're the ones who really
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. Good morning. Welcome, everyone, to Unity Spiritual Center of Spokane. I'm Jeff Tawney. I'll be your platform this morning. First, want to make sure, we start off with making sure we have our phones on silent or do not disturb or off or whatever it is you have to do, but so we avoid any interruptions. We appreciate that. Good morning and welcome. We are all about our mission of transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in our world. As always, we want to begin our time together with our opening affirmation, and we'll just say it together. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the good. I'm just going to pause a second. See if we can. This morning, our spiritual leader, Reverend Bonnie, has a message with us, and she's continuing her series on inventors and the creation and creativity. This morning, she's going to be talking about Thomas Edison and his creativity and awareness. We have music this morning provided not just by Scott Jameson, but also by Gabe Lapano. He's going to be doing some special music. We have our song leaders, Rick and Monica, will be coming up, followed by Darlene Walsh-Martin, who will be doing our morning reading and prayer.
I feel the love. today is taken from Alice Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. Alice could not help laughing at this, even in the midst of her tears. "How can you keep from crying by considering things?" she asked. "That's the way it's done," the Queen said with great decision. "Nobody can do two things at once, you know. Let's consider your age to begin with. How old are you?" "I'm 7.5 exactly." "You needn't say exactly," the Queen remarked. "I can believe it without that. Now I'll give you something to believe. I'm just 101, 5 months and a day." "I can't believe that," said Alice. "Can't you?" said the Queen. In a pitying tone, "Try again. Take a long breath and shut your eyes." Alice laughed. "There's no use in trying," she said. "One can't believe in impossible things." "I dare say you haven't had much practice," said the Queen. "When I was your age, I always did it for a half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast." So as we move on to the prayer, let's take a moment of silence and place our attention in our hearts. Right here and right now, I am aware that there's one presence, one life, one love, and one intelligence, and it is good. This presence is a creative presence, always expressing itself from the realm of the invisible good into the form of the physical world. This presence through the heart, the mind-heart of God within humanity. Today we remember that we are the creative outlets for the divine presence itself. We are made of God stuff, and we express God ideas through us into God stuff in form. God the good through creation into additional forms of creation. What fun we are able to participate in by wearing human suits, taking form as beings on this earth. For a moment, let's commit in prayer to expand our consciousness by practicing larger thought, allowing more light to express through us. At this moment, let's say yes to more light, creativity, and imagination operating through us for the benefit of our own consciousness and humanity itself. Let us exercise our willingness to become more divine so that more of its vibration may bless the planet. Let us remember that it is our consciousness that creates a small, tight, and narrow dissatisfaction, and it is the light within us and the surrendered love within us that softens our restrictive narrowness and expands the good God through us. Today, I say yes to a larger container for God. I speak this word for me and for each of us here. I bless today's talk as I know the presence of God is speaking through Reverend Bonnie, bringing forth what each of our souls need to hear. I bless the musicians, the creative within and behind the scenes, each of us in the community who through showing up today agree we are active participants in the one life. I know today is blessed, and I give thanks for this. and so it is. Amen.
Wow, I just heard God through some fingers. Thank you, Gabe. The first time I heard Gabe, I was a guest, and after service, I brought my grandkids in and I said, would you please play for them? I want them to hear what it sounds like. And God bless Gabe, he did. So you always have a warm part in my heart for your generosity of spirit. Thank you. Today we're talking about Thomas Edison, and the title is called Who Are You Gonna Call? And you will have the answer to that at the end of the talk, why I named it that, which is great. So we're talking about the creative nature of God, which is always showing up in so many different ways. And in June, we looked at God showing up through music, through musicians, through their life of connectedness with the divine. And then this last month, we looked at movies, and this month, we're looking at inventors. And I could also say innovators if we want to use that word, but it's the intellect that is connecting with the divine presence of God that's allowing the stream to come through so that creativity and further movement of humanity may indeed take place. So, welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Spokane, here in person, and those of you online whose presence I always feel, and the gratitude in my heart for indeed being present along with us today. Welcome. And whether you are searching for truth, knowing truth, or you are revealing the truth that lives within you, you are welcome here. So thank you so much. So before I talk about Edison, I want to show you a current day invention. And I feel like I could call this month the Inventors Month. P.S. Deepak Chopra will be in the talk. So here is the clip that I'd like you to see in an interview between Deepak and Jimmy Fallon.
It is Digital Deepak. That is like an AI you, is that if I'm correct, right?
That's right. It's my AI twin.
And this has read all of your books.
It's read all my books, articles. It has access to libraries. It will one day speak to the grandchildren of my grandchildren, tell them about the show, and learn from them as well.
I can use it tonight. Is that right?
If you want. Ask it a question.
The clapping. All right. I have to say, hello, Digital Deepak.
Hey, Jimmy.
Digital Deepak, what is meta-human?
I believe there's an inner intelligence within all of us, which is the ultimate and supreme genius, and which mirrors the wisdom of the universe. That's meta-human, the genius inside you. I have a meditation that will help you with this.
Meditation. You guys want to try it? Do we want to try a meditation? Sure. Can we do this? Ruth, we'll do a meditation. Okay, Digital Deepak, let's do it.
Let's begin. Please close your eyes. Just sit quietly, uncross your feet, put your feet on the ground, and now relax your body. Relax your mind. Let thoughts drift in and out, just observing them like clouds in the sky. Observe the breath in, and now observe it as it goes out through your nostrils. And you have started your journey in meditation.
Thank you, Digital Deepak.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Wow. So this is current invention. This is today invention. This is, I heard Deepak in a whole bunch of interviews before I saw this clip speak to the fact that he created this during COVID, and there were a lot of lonely people. And according to him, there were over 6,000 suicidal people that had come to Digital Deepak to get support and help. And so he said that in his estimation, he saved many lives. That has typically been the role of a spiritual center. Our world is shifting, our world is changing, and we just need to be aware of the fact that there is change that's happening in all forms of institutions, and in this case, we're talking about the spiritual institution. So, review from last week is that the intelligence of God is in operation through all its creation. That means that it is in all aspects of us in the visible and the invisible realm. We also learned last week that God speaks to us through ideas. If we don't love and nurture and act upon those ideas, that they will go to someone else. And it's not because God is personal. Clearly it is not. The energy field is not personal. It wants to express itself through humanity. And if you close the door, it will find an open door. That which is in the form of a God idea already manifest is the past. And if we tie our energy up into worldly matters of the past, then we close ourselves off to being a part of the future now that is wanting to operate through us. So I'm going to speak about Thomas Edison today. This is not a biography lesson. What I really invite you to do is to catch the spiritual energy and message underneath today's talk. Although I'm speaking about Edison, I could be speaking about any one of us. That the divine presence of God is active through us, wanting to express itself in the form of creation. So as we're hearing one person's story, Let the energy of that become your story, become our story if you want to. So God is always in operation to those who listen and to receive. So we're going to see a 2-minute video here on Edison himself from PBS.
Thomas Edison is the most patented American in history, with 1,093 patents to his name in the US, and 1,239 more internationally. You're probably familiar with some of Edison's more well-known inventions, like the light bulb, or the phonograph, or the motion picture camera. But what about some of his lesser-known inventions? When he was just 22, Edison was issued his first patent for the electrographic vote recorder. Legislators could choose yes or no on a ballot, and electric current would pass through the device. Later, chemicals would dissolve the side that the legislator voted for. Congress was not impressed. More impressive were Edison's batteries, which were among his most profitable inventions. By the late 1880s, he had developed the primary battery, which became an industry standard. Edison believed the world needed electric cars, which needed lighter batteries than the prevailing lead-acid ones. It took him nearly 10 years and 147 related patents before finishing his alkaline storage battery. Though gas-powered cars were already dominating the market by then, Edison's storage batteries were a commercial success, manufactured in New Jersey until the mid-1970s. In 1876, Edison patented the electric stencil pen. A small electric motor powered a steel needle to perforate paper. It was the first widely used copying technology. And later, the electric pen would be modified into the first electric tattoo needle. We've already mentioned how the phonograph is one of Edison's most famous patents, recorded sound. But did you also know that in 1890 he patented the first talking doll? The miniature phonograph placed inside a doll held a 6-second recording of songs and nursery rhymes. Unfortunately, the mini phonograph was a bit too delicate for playful little girls, and the sounds mostly came out as hissing or crackling noises, horrifying wealthy children across the country. Edison also had a patent for a concrete house, which he argued could be made for the third of the price of a typical house, if made from a concrete mold. He even proposed making the furnishings from concrete, from pipes to tables and chairs to pianos and record players, and even bathtubs. In his busiest year, Thomas Edison applied for 106 patents. That averages out to about 2 each week. He was one of America's most prolific inventors, but he certainly didn't work alone. Find out more from Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and pbs.org/American Experience.
All right. So, Edison was born in 1847 to a middle-class family in Milan, Ohio. At age 12, he becomes deaf from scarlet fever. And this is where, as a spiritual teacher, I want to say, as I have spoken about since my arrival in October, that anything that we see that is a negative can truly, truly, truly be a positive if we allow it to be. He loved being deaf. And he loved being deaf because then he didn't have to have small talk, he said. And he got to ruminate in his mind and hear the conversations with God. So when he was 12 years old, and he was very charismatic, he was a real personality. So when he was 12 years old, he realized he could take a train to a larger city, buy goods, come back, and resell them for a higher price. So at age 12, he opened 2 stores in downtown. And then by age 15, he had talked the conductor of the train, where he got his goods and stuff from, when he'd go to the train station, he would talk the conductor into letting him have a train car. And there in one of the train cars, he created a newspaper publishing company. And he created the newspaper for the town, and it was the first and maybe the only newspaper that was ever operated in a train car. He talked the conductor into allowing him to bring his chemistry set into another train car. Not so good of an idea. When the train would come to a halt, that car caught on fire. So his business then of publishing the paper and of his inventions through chemistry came to a halt in that form. But he had had years of going back and forth on the train to different destinations, and he got to know the people who sent Morse code messages from town to town. And he was fascinated by it. So he would go and stand behind the Morse code people, and he would teach himself how to do Morse code in between train stops. And he became very good at that, and then became a telegraph operator for Western Union office. It is while he is an operator that he comes up with the invention of inventing a universal stock printer, and he sells that to Western Union, making $40,000 for that first invention at age 22. In today's dollars, that is $1 million. So in 1876, with that $40,000, he opens the first ever scientific laboratory in Menlo Park. He uses his proceeds from this invention to staff it, and he paid his people really well. And they were happy, and that's where, by the way, he could come up with 2 inventions a week, is that he put his name on everyone's invention in his factory. He was probably the first celebrity business person that we have known. He had really good relationships with the media, and every time an invention was created, he ran to the media and had stories made. So he was really good at promoting himself. He was an amazing marketer. Like I said, he had this great big character about him, and he had lovely big ideas. Whoa, sorry. Here's some of the inventions that came out of Menlo Park. We have the phonograph, the electric light, the motion picture camera, the telegraph improvements, and telephone improvements. And this is where I take a little pause for myself and do a spiritual reflection. And this is what I was able to see, is that there is a perceived loss in every single change. That when an invention was made, something else went away. It replaced something. It improved something. The old either merged into it, took second seat, or went away. So there's a perceived loss in change. And the opportunity is to follow that which is emerging, not that which is dying. And so, using the example of the light bulb, guess what industry started fading away or took second seat? Candles. So people were using 12 to 20 candles a day, and a light bulb lasted 3 days. So think of all of the candles that weren't sold as soon as the light bulb came about. Now, light bulb also requires something that a candle doesn't, and that is electricity. So I'll address that in a minute in my next insight. So I think in my lifetime, some of the things that were really hot, remember 8-track tapes to go with your car? Some things that were really hot and are no longer. Cassette tapes, 8-track tapes, VHS tapes, digital technology invention came and replaced or greatly diminished that which once was. So progress, innovation, evolution shifts form. I'm talking at the pulpit all the time about God the formless working through God the form. The formless never changes. The form always does. As spiritual beings, we place our attention on that which doesn't change, and we allow the changing world to change as necessary as we hold firm in the permanence of God throughout the change. Make sense? Okay, so Sue Morter, the spiritual teacher, says, I always want to be on the side of the emergence of spirit. I don't want to be on the side of that which is dying. So here's the other big insight I had, and that is that one invention spawns many more inventions. And so what Edison did was, once the light bulb was created, now think of how he thinks. This is just spectacular. He says, what's the best way to get this known across the United States? It's to light up all of New York City. So he decides that they need to have street lamps, and he needs to go in and light up the city so everyone who walks down the street sees this magnificent invention he's created and wants one. So in order to do this, he needs to wire all of New York City. There's a whole bunch of jobs. There's a shift again from candles to having this new technology. Okay, he needs to create a generator from which the wires connect and the city can light up. Then we have the invention of the street lamp that is electric and how that is wired. And we have outlets and plugs. And when you start thinking about everything that is a secondary invention, if you will, in order to support this new light bulb invention, what we see is that one new change has a ripple that goes out all over a culture, a family, a spiritual center, a whatever, the collective, if you will. So I have really been fascinated with AI and have been reading as much as I can about it. We all know that there's writers on strike and other businesses that are saying, wait a minute, if we can be replaced by this technology, or if our work can be put into a bucket that can then be utilized by something that is taking out the work that we ourselves created through us, the whole trademark question, then we need to have some parameters. So there's some really juicy conversations going on right now around this thing called AI, and who owns the rights to it, and what does all of that piece look like. But we also know that there have already been medical solutions and devices created out of the wisdom that has come from artificial intelligence. So we are seeing once again that a whole new influx of operating in our world will have a ripple effect with subsequent inventions that come along, and a whole secondary tier of new creativity. When we looked at it last week, what we saw was that when there is a download from the great I Am, when there's a universal download, it happens all around the world, and there's a bunch of people working to embody it, to make it real. We saw that as I spoke about inventions last week. So when I was at the convention this year, there were some breakout sessions that had conversations around unity centers, and what are unity centers going to become with all of this change in the culture where the church attendance is dwindling. And so there have been some creative centers that have turned themselves into healing centers and rent out rooms to acupuncturists, to massage therapists, to all kinds of complementary healing modalities, and then they do Sunday services and classes. So there's one model, one flavor of what a unity center can do in order to have new people walk in the door, in order to have a solid financial base, and in order to have the teachings make it out to people who resonate with that kind of energy. There was also another center who turned into a job training center for people who just got out of jail. And they put in their basement, they had washing machines and dryers installed, and they trained, and they had grants and government funding to train people in the job skills of working with cleaning and laundry. And then the people from the community would come and pick up their laundry, and the church got to keep the money. And so there was this like influx of funds at the same time, serving and teaching people who were going from one form of being and transitioning into another, and serving them with the consciousness work and then work in form. So it's just planting seeds with the idea that somewhere in our lifespan as a center, we may want to recreate in some way, and that would only happen if we are guided. So let's move on here. There we go. So then tragedy strikes. So Edison is on the top of the world, okay? We've talked about this at Sunday services as well. Edison is at the top of the world. Edison is doing great. Edison has his lights going through the streets of New York City, and then his beloved wife dies at the age of 28. The cause of death is congestion in the brain. And he can't fathom staying in Menlo Park any longer with his beloved wife, who is no longer with him. So, there we go. So I looked up Edison's spirituality because, of course, that's important to me. And he had a direct connection with what Ernest Holmes calls the thing itself, with the one thing that is God. And he says in a quote in an interview he did in a New York Times magazine, he said, "I do not believe in the God of theologians, but that there is a supreme intelligence, I do not doubt." And so part of Edison's innovation was he contacted Congress, as someone of his stature would, just before World War I, and said, we need to have a collection of us inventors come together and look at what the equipment looks like for our service then men who went to war, that we need to look at that equipment and be as innovative as we can in order to save as many lives as we possibly can. So under Edison, there's a team of inventors who came together, and they were called the Naval Consultant Board, of which he was a part. After World War I and seeing all of the carnage, he committed to nonviolence as a way of living, and he prided himself in never creating any weapons. He was also a vegetarian, and he chose to be a vegetarian because he saw animals being slaughtered and he did not like the way they were treated, so he chose to be a vegetarian, which is quite progressive at the time. So the expansion follows tragedy, and this is what we know. When we are in the flow, form changes, and when we are in the flow, our life energy continues on even when our beloved others are no longer with us on the planet. And so when he was 39 years old, he remarried, and he married Nina Miller, who was the daughter of another inventor. They have 6 children together, and they move to Orange, New Jersey, and he rebuilds bigger and better. He opens a lab in West Orange, New Jersey, where that storage battery that we saw was created. He also, his group discovered rubber, created rubber as derived from plants, and the fluoroscope, which I had to look up, and it looks like it's pretty much an X-ray machine. Now, in the beginning of the talk, I said I would come back to why I chose the title, Who Are You Going to Call Thomas Edison? Raise your hand if you know the answer, but don't say it. Okay, Jeff knows. Okay, 2 people know. This is very good. Okay, so in the 1920s, when he was working on this invention, this spiritualism was really ripe in the field. The pandemic, the flu pandemic had just ended, and people were interested with so many deaths in talking to their people who were no longer with them, who had become deceased. And as a side note, what I feel really fascinated about is that I was trained, as you know, through religious science, and Dr. Ernest Holmes and his brother Fenwick Holmes, during the pandemic in Los Angeles, created a prayer room, and they prayed with thousands of people and did consciousness work with them around the pandemic, and not one of them died. I just find that so fascinating and lovely. Side note, Okay, so spiritualism is hot in the 20s. It just followed the flu pandemic. People are just crazy wanting to talk to their dead relatives and those that they love. So Thomas Edison works on creating a spirit phone. And the spirit phone allows individuals to talk to the deceased. And he believed, and this is from an article written about him, Edison believed that life was indestructible and that, to quote Edison, quantity could never be increased or decreased after death. He theorized that like our bodies, our personalities have a physical form, made of tiny, what he called entities, similar to what our current view of atoms are. He thought that these entities might exist after the humans passed away, and that there is a personality-like residue of loose memories and thoughts that was contained from a person during their lifetime. If these particles exist, he reasoned, then they could come together in the ether, and then they could be able to amplify the human voice like he had done with a record from a phonograph. So what I will say is for the past 12 years, Dr. Schwartz at the University of Arizona has been working with a team to create the soul phone. So his idea is still being followed up on. They say that people can get answers from their beloved ones on the other side of the veil, but they can only be yes or no answers on the phone. And then just as a fun fact, side note, is that I went on a ghost hunting trip in Bisbee, Arizona with those ghost hunters that are on TV. And we used the EVP equipment to capture voices of those who had passed over. And so while I was there, there were several different haunted spaces that we caught people talking in, which was really cool and fun. And then those of us who meditate all the time know that we can tap into whoever we want to tap into, whenever we want to tap into, and have a conversation and download. So we don't really need technology, but it's kind of cool that there's some people out there playing around with that. So then here's the newspaper article saying that Thomas Edison is dead. When he passed away, he had $12 million in the bank, which is worth $140 million today. I like that. I'm somebody who believes that when we bring value to humanity, that prosperity comes back in some form. And so to me, what this says is that all of his investment in inventions had enough benefit for humanity to come back and prosper him. So I like that for me as a spiritual teacher. And then when he died of diabetes. So that was how he passed away, October 19, 1931. So before we go into meditation, I want to say that September I'm going to be speaking about going back to school and all the basics and what I've been in school, and you will learn what I've been learning in school. And in September on Friday nights, we're having a series of business people in our community who have created or innovated in really awesome ways, who are going to come to us and talk about their processes, who they are, how they show up, how they get ideas, what their journey has been like in form. I can never get enough of these stories. We're calling it Success Stories in Spokane. And Dave Ribble will get up during our announcements and share with you the names of the people who will be coming on Friday nights. I highly recommend you coming. This is where I get so inspired when I see people who are courageous enough to take the ideas that God has implanted in them and move it into form. To me, this is stuff that excites me and keeps me going and lets me know that I'm not alone. And I invite you to come. It's open to the entire community. We're getting some press on it. And so you may want to invite some of your friends to come as well. So I think that's it with Thomas. Let us meditate. Let's feel our feet on the ground. Let's wiggle our bodies a little bit. And from our reading today, we heard that we could have 6 new ideas before breakfast. Let us know right now that we are worthy enough and wealthy enough and visionary enough to be able to capture an idea from the mind and the heart of God and bring it into fruition. Whether it's an idea on how to be more loving when we show up for our children, or whether it's an idea on how to shift the platform around so that there's a greater feeling tone of the presence of God in the room, or if it's an idea on a business that wants to be created, or if it's an idea on how to create and attract new friendships, whatever it is, let's be open to that divine presence that is a guiding system. It is our own GPS. And the Bible says, ask and it shall be received. So let's just take a moment of silence and let's just ask that something really delicious from the presence of God can make its way through our being, that we may be uplifted and that more light may come forth through our being. And the God that created Edison created you and I, that we may come and have a life force on this planet and leave it better, different, expanded, some way than we found it, that we had a life worth living. And believe me when I say that the good of God is in each one of your cells and my cells. The light of God is a bio-spiritual experience and lives within each one of our cells. This was proven in the 80s, that within each one of our cells there is a light force that literally has us as the light of the world. And so today, allow your ideas to be bigger than your complaints. Your ideas to be more potent than your worries. Your ideas to be that divine truth that lives within you. And at the end of service today, when we share coffee with each other, may we see each other as the divine selves that we are, ever expressing God's good and God's glory. And so it is. Amen.
a wonderful town where memories are made. Just ask around, it's the people you meet. So I'll see you, my friend, walking on the streets of Spokane. And the stars, we're having the time of our life. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, any old season just right. Oh, it's a wonderful town where memories are made. Just ask around, it's the people you meet. So I'll see you, my friend, walking on the streets of Spokane. I see you walking on the streets of Spokane.
All right, now it is our most favorite time, which is our time of giving. And so I invite you, if you are a giver who gives through the bank, to pretend you have one of these in your hands, or if you do, hold it to your heart. And for those who are desirous of leaving cash or check, we accept and welcome that as well. And those of you online, you'll see instructions for giving. And I just want to thank you. In most spiritual centers, summer is a time of a financial slump, and I give thanks that we don't believe in slumping. So I just want to thank you so much for who you are and for what you do. So bringing this to our heart, let us say our prayer together. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. Last time Gabe was here, I asked that the two of these gentlemen do dueling pianos, and Scott said it can happen. So there will be a Sunday where this place is lit up. Thank you. I love it. I love it. Okay, so may I have Murphy up here, Sally Sledge up here, and Gay? These three ladies were instrumental in creating a new member welcome packet. We, since I've started here, have not had a new member welcome packet, and they're beautiful and they're full of really good, cool stuff. So if you came and you were a member without getting a packet, know that you can have one today. If you're new for the first time, know that you can also have one. And if you've been around a long time, know that you can buy one for $200. All right, we're praying together. Oh yeah, we're busy. Hello? Okay, so let's all keep our hearts nice and ripe and open. Place your arms towards the giving today, this offering, and what you and I know is as metaphysicians and as mystics that our words turn into things. And so we bless this giving, knowing that it goes out and finds friends and family members and all kinds of ways to multiply, that we don't need to know how it does, we just need to know that it does. For we, this center, is an idea in the mind of God, and it is fully funded. And so I give thanks for each one of us here and online that has participated in this giving today. I know that we are made richer and more full from this giving. And for each person who gave, I just speak words of blessing and multiplication. And for those who felt like there wasn't enough, I double bless and just know that the goodness and glory of God is going to find its way to you and through you in amazing, abundant ways. And so for who we are and what we do, I give thanks. And I bless this money and call it good. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Bonnie, for that message, and everyone. Something I learned about Spokane, that at the Campbell House, which is over by the MAC, they have one of the first electric cars on display, as well as the whole charging system that was used back in the day. And apparently the little old lady, I hate to say that, but the little old lady that drove that car, drove it to like 1950 before she could no longer drive that vehicle. So that vehicle was actually being used around here, which I thought was really fascinating. Something you learn about Spokane. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, for we know that there is only one power, one presence, and one life. So whoever you are and wherever you are welcomed here. Yesterday at the Unity in the Community, I had the opportunity a couple of times to actually recite that to someone that says, tell me about unity. What is unity about? So I thought, well, unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict. I thought it was a great transition. But we did have a great time. Thank you, Shalon, myself, Julie, Ellie, and yeah, we were there greeting and meeting and talking to people, so that was awesome. All right, if you are a first-time guest, and I have in my hot little hand one of those new welcome packets, it's pretty full. It's definitely worth $200. But anyways, we have the welcome packets here. If you are a first-time guest, and we would like to just, if you feel comfortable in raising your hand and letting us know, and hold that hand up so we can see you, and make sure we get a welcome packet to you over here. Thank you. Here, I'm gonna give you. Thank you for being here. I know you're here as a result of Kids Camp, aren't you? Oh, no? Okay. There is somebody here from Kids Camp. I do know that. Oh, back over here. There you go. All right. If you are, we thank you for being here. please know that you can visit our website, unityspokane.org, and you can find more information there about our classes and everything that's going on. You can also scan that QR code, and that will take you to the sign-up list for the newsletter. We don't spam you. I want to be clear about that. I told this several times yesterday. We send you one email a week, and that email has links to all the things that are going on here, not just to talks, but also some of the speaker series that's coming up, all the different things. So it's a great resource. Again, you're not going to get a bunch of emails from us. We are safe that way. So you can sign up there. You can also visit us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, our social media sites, and you can just search Unity Spiritual Center Spokane to find us. So thank you for being here. That's in the welcome packet too. If you open that up, there's a little coupon in there for a free latte or coffee drink or whatever at the baristas. So be sure to do that. Thank you, Greg. Our chaplains today are Gary, and Gary, would you please stand? And also Darlene is representing the chaplains today. They have been holding the service in prayer and holding space. We call holding space, meaning you allow things to happen, right? You allow space and you give opportunities for things to happen, and that's what the chaplains do here. Gary will be available after service up front, so if you have a special need, special prayer, or just a voice of encouragement. He's a great encourager, and so he'll be available after service, so please see him. If you have something that you may not feel comfortable with sharing with someone, please know that we have in the seat back, you have a prayer request card that you can put down, write your request or write your special need. There is a wooden box in the back in which you can drop that request. Know that your requests are prayed for locally here for 30 days, as well as Silent Unity back in Kansas City. We take prayer very seriously here, and those requests are held and prayed for on a regular basis. Okay, so we're going to transition into news, and the first thing is you're in the welcome packets. One of the things we're doing is we're putting daily words in there, and even old daily words, because the messages are still good. And so those of you, if you have a daily word, rather than throwing it out, would you bring it back to the church? And we're going to put those daily words, we're going to recycle those and reuse those daily words in the welcome packets so that they're available for people as well. So I would imagine there'll be a basket or something out in the entry area for that in the future. So please know that that we can utilize those. After service today, there's a new member orientation, and basically it's an opportunity for us to tell you about Unity. What is Unity? What do you guys believe in? What are you all about? So that's an opportunity for us to do that. Murphy, who is one of our chaplains, is also one of our board members. She will be hosting that. That is in the chapel. In the library. So know that you can go in there and find out. It's not a pressure to try to get you to join or give blood or anything like that. It's just simply an opportunity for us to tell you a little bit about ourselves and for you to ask questions and get more information about who we are. Then we have, click forward, we have Hot August Nights on Saturday, August 26th. And that is from 5 to 7:30. If you were there last year, well, you know that we had some really fun things happening, including one of our little 9-year-olds that got up and did a rap for like 15 minutes. It was amazing. But it just goes to show you, we talk about the creativity. Reverend Bonnie talks about the creativity and even things like that. It's amazing, and our young people feel that creativity and they act on it. And so that happens at Hot August Night. We even have some of our sister churches from Coeur d'Alene and from the north actually come and visit and be a part of the community, and it's a great opportunity for us to get together. Then next we have the Soul Sisters Retreat. That is going to be on August 31st. That is Reverend Bonnie, our own Gay Ribble, as well as Amy Flossie, who I believe is a really good friend of Reverend Bonnie's, who's going to be coming up for that as well. The cost is $95, one-day event, and that will be that will be coming up. All right, Juliet, where's Juliet? Come on up. She's got a little announcement.
That was my fast motion. All right, good morning. I just want to make sure you know about a special event that is coming up on September 3rd. First, the youth ministry is having a multiple week program called Around the World, and they're having people come in about talk about different countries. So they've invited Jefferson Rakatomalala to come in and talk to the children about Madagascar. He's from Madagascar. Madagascar is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, but it's also one of the poorest countries in the world. So our youth will get to learn about that. Also, as part of the Compassion and Action team, we also invited Jefferson Rakatomalala, she has two other names, but long name, to come in and talk to us as well. So I want to make sure you know about this. He is from Madagascar, and him coming to the United States is a miracle in itself. But what he has done here since he's come to the United States is truly inspiring. So our Amber McKenzie, who usually does e-news up here, isn't here today, but I know if she was here today, she'd also be standing by me, because Jefferson Rakatomalala is an SFC or a student at Spokane Falls Community College. He works closely with her because she's in global education. I work closely with Jefferson because he comes to me to help him with his multiple scholarship essays. So I've gotten to know him really well. I consider myself to be a strong person of faith, but when he comes in and tells me what he's planning on doing next, inside I'm like, are you sure you want to do that? Because that's really risky. I see that I'm reacting in fear, whereas he also has stress and fear, but he rises above that because he just moves forward in faith. I am learning so much from him, and I just want to let you know that what is happening with him is truly a miracle. So it's called Living Miracle to Miracle. So if you want to learn more about it and be truly inspired by him, as Amber and I are, then come. It's on Sunday, September 3rd. It's in the chapel, and the Compassion and Action team is having a lunch, and then he'll be speaking in there as well. The lunch is a love offering, and so we hope that you will come and join us. If you have any questions, come and talk to me after service. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Juliet. I'm essence of time. I asked Mr. Ribble to let me do the next one, and that's the speaker series. You know, folks, we need your help. When we do these, when we have these things, and this isn't just Unity, this is just people in general, tend to put off registering or buying tickets because life is busy and but we also, when we put things together, we need your help and encouragement in participating in those things. And I say that only from the standpoint is when we have events and that sort of thing, people wait till the last minute to do that, and then that gives all of us planning stuff. Gets a little angst because it's like, is anybody going to show up? But you guys always come through, but there's always that nervousness of like, what's going to happen? So if you are planning, please plan to get those tickets soon and let us know that this is something that you want to participate in. I'm especially excited because as Bonnie's been talking about inventors and people with ideas, these are local people that we're going to be able to interact with, have conversation. Dave's an amazing conversationalist and be able to draw stuff out of people and talk about. And this will be our opportunity to tap into some of that local talent, local ventures and entrepreneurs and ask questions. So please plan to include that on your list. And I'm just going to make a real selfish plug for Conscious Conversations because we did take some time off in July, but we will be back again this coming Thursday, 6 o'clock over here next door. Okay, we have a lot of rumbling going on out there, and that means our kids are ready. So if you will all stand as we welcome our children.
In
Okay, which you can't see in the back. We've got all this going on here, but we also have our Viking ship that is coming in the back here. They're making their way. There was a lot fewer chairs in here on Friday, so they had a much better maneuverability, but we have a Viking ship back there. And yeah.
That's right.
Our kids' camp was amazing. I had the opportunity to be here a couple of times. I just want to give you some stats. We had 12 campers, 4 who were new to Unity, 3 from Unity North. We had 3 youth volunteers, that is like youth in terms of like under 14 years of age. We had 27 volunteers from Unity. 27 of you showed up at various times to support. That was amazing. We had enough donations to fill that Viking ship. That was another amazing thing because I hauled half of them up and down the stairs every week. And talk about ideas. Guess what came out of this whole thing? This was pretty amazing. Our 2 men, young men, Ben and James, came up with an idea to have a Lego club. So guess what's going to happen at Unity Spiritual Center Spokane? We are going to have a Lego club in which boys can be invited to come here and participate. And girls. I'm sorry. Faux pas. In which kids, young people, can be invited to come here and participate. I'll never live that one down. I am never going to live that one down. Anyway, so that was exciting to hear about that. We also have, you are the princess of everything, right? Childville. Queen of Childville.
Queen, I guess. Wow. I got promoted.
She got promoted, yeah. Anyways, what an amazing week it was. Thank you for all the volunteers. Thank you for all the hard work. I know some people were up at 3 o'clock in the morning putting things together and here at the church till 5 o'clock and then some. So thank you guys for the hearts, the love, the attention, the dedication to the youth. Thank you, youths, for being here too and being a part of that and trusting us. So with that, we do our children's. Oh, you are so adorable. This makes up for the faux pas, right? Okay, together we say, be the love you are, sing the song you hear, share your joy of life with people far and near. And for ourselves, be the love we are, sing the song we hear, share our joy of life with people far and near. Peace song, that's it. Or we're going to do our prayer protection. Knuckles? Okay. Oh yeah, kids can return to your family. This has got me all messed up. Kids, return to those you came with, and if you all stand for our prayer protection, followed by the peace song.
Right?
don't you lead the prayer?
Everyone. Both.